Welcome to the Mark Attwood Show, Adventures in a Cosmic Suit. Today I'm in the west of Ireland, next to a beautiful tractor, because I've got a story for you today about a phoenix rising from the ashes. Let's go. So I'm joined here by Michael and Yvonne. Hello, how are you?
Hi, Mark.
Now, Michael, this farm's been in your family for how long?
Oh, 4 generations.
4 generations?
Yeah.
How many years is that?
Oh, 150.
150 years.
Yeah.
Now, I met you about 4 or 5 years ago, and I remember you telling me that you get paid more to not farm than you do to farm.
Yeah, that's right, Mark. Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
It's crackers, but
Crackers, yeah.
you know, what I love about your story is that there's this really ancient water under this land, which is full of sulphur, and people used to come here and bathe, and it was like a health spa, wasn't it?
That's right, yeah. We've had that for all those generations. Indeed, my grandfather was a very keen man and knew the benefits and health of water that's not trapped, that's flowing, that's constant, and it's picking up all that energy from the earth, and it's picking up minerals that can revitalise ourselves and our bodies and so on. And for the plants and minerals and cattle on the farm, it's really good as well.
And you and Yvonne have got together and created a product from this water, correct?
We have. That's something that we thought about because people still come to the farm for the sulphur water, and we wanted to find a way to help sustain the farm in one way, but also to bring the sulphur water to people as well, because not everybody can come to the west of Ireland to the farm for the sulphur water.
That's true. So we're going to go and have a look at the spa and the well, and then we'll have a look at the products, and we'll continue the story. So let's go.
Great. See, these here are the people look at hedges and things, and these actually are like were put in about 1700 years ago. And this section that we've
1700
years ago. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. And what happened in the 16 or 1700s?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. But you see this bit that's coming up here? That led directly. This bit is, you know, it's lighter. But this bit here led directly into the fort.
Oh, the fairy fort?
Yeah. And this was to impress. So you had, out of the wilderness and trees and so on, you had this avenue kind of leading up to your fort. So you got a long line of it. This little bit is filled in. And this section then was the other side. Like you could imagine this little bit being cut here to build the road, you know, things progress and so on. So this little bit was changed, but it led directly to the fort. Imagine that. So that could be 1,000 years, 2,000 years. That bit of the road there is about 2,000 years old.
Wow.
Maybe 3, maybe 4. We don't know. Now, so here we go. Right.
Look at that. Are we going to go down?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. We'll bring you down, so.
After you. We're going to the spa.
So this is a very ancient hazelwood. This is probably as old a wood as you'll have in Ireland. So these fellas would have grown from the native woods that covered Ireland at one time.
Which all got destroyed by the British.
Yeah. Well, they needed them to build ships and go to war, didn't they?
Well, I think it was more a spiritual thing because the trees look after us.
Yeah.
You know, you could walk from the top of Ireland to the bottom without touching the ground.
That's true. They said a squirrel could travel from the north of Ireland to Cork to the south without ever touching the ground.
And now what are they planting? What are those things called?
Sitka spruce, where nothing will grow.
And there's a lot of resistance to this but the farmers get put into a position where they have no choice sometimes because they get offered a lot of money for it, don't they?
Well, that's unfortunate because, like, we talk about, you'll hear things about food sovereignty and so on, and you know what happens on a lot of the farms, the more of this you remove, the less access, we'll say, your cattle have to these very wild sort of herbs that grow here. Like if that was grown in somebody's garden, or if you went to a garden centre, you'd pay a wild amount of money to actually purchase that. And yet, look at here. It is a natural garden, and even over here, the way that the trees lodge and so on, and every part of that is a universe for a lot of creatures and species. And that all feeds back into us. Even being here today, you can see the calmness.
Oh, it's amazing.
This is a cathedral.
You can feel it. You can feel it.
This
well,
is-
it's an ecclesia.
That's a
Isn't
good
it?
word,
It's an
Mark.
ecclesia.
Yeah, yeah.
And
you know. And you
I'm
have
glad
the
you.
elements.
Well, yeah.
You have the light. You have
can
the
almost-
nature.
You can almost see the
You
fairies
have
there.
the water, and you feel good.
You don't feel great. It's like
Yeah,
you listen like
yeah,
a tree.
yeah, yeah.
But you mentioned food sovereignty, and I think that's critical because as somebody that came into this country, I saw the change. You know, because you don't notice the change when you're a boiling frog, right? It's less easy to spot.
Yeah.
And what I've seen is that, you know, the Irish government importing billions of dollars worth of beef from Argentina, for example, when this country's got the best cows in the world, best grass in the world.
There you go.
You know, it doesn't make any sense. Well, it doesn't make any sense from a logical point of view, but
Not that way. And even in the generations that we've worked here, the reality is that to make a living, there's only one way that you can continue to stay at the same economic is kind of get bigger and bigger and bigger and take smaller and smaller and smaller. And that makes no sense because it destroys everything in its path. It's almost like locusts. Do you know, they're just eating everything on its path.
Yeah.
So there has to be a more sustainable way, a natural way that we always did it in Ireland anyway. We didn't need someone to direct it.
in the old days.
In the old days,
But then
it worked.
the EU did the
Yeah.
classic gangster trick of coming in with a load of money,
Yeah.
building the roads, and then charging your fees to go on them, and then taking over.
It looks good in the beginning.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things as a farmer. And I mean, you know, we're not saying we did everything right. We made mistakes. We took some of the bait. And naturally, you know, cash is king and money comes. But then you begin to say, wait a minute, this isn't sustainable.
No.
It won't work.
Ultimately, it was a bribe because they're taking over all the land.
That's one way of saying it. Yeah, a
Also
bribe.
forcing models from other countries that would never work here either.
Yeah.
Do you know, we're not Holland and we're not Germany
That's right.
and we're not Italy. So those models were never going to
They didn't suit
work
us
They
here.
wouldn't- Yeah, they wouldn't suit us.
Yeah.
And the type of animals that were here, the native
Yeah.
animals as well that would have been in the
Yeah.
land.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have damaged the land. They were smaller animals, they were lighter animals for the softer ground. As
And-
bigger animals
yeah.
were brought in.
Yeah, and land and things need time to regenerate themselves through their own processes. Far more complicated than you or I even understand or science understands. But it's a perfect paradise if you leave it that way.
Yeah.
Just don't pull it asunder.
Well, this part of the farm has been like this for many, many years.
This has never changed. This actually enclave that you're in here is the native woods and habitat where people lived in harmony with the woods, with their family and so on, and benefited from it without destroying it, you see.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're not
Could
saying... Yeah.
sustain their family.
Ah, yeah. Yeah.
You know, because people talk about good
Yeah.
land and bad land.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was no issues with families living in Leitrim and producing food,
Yes.
and good quality food
Yeah.
for their families.
And a lot of people know now actually that we weren't just farmers. We were a mix. We did some farming and growing vegetables and native plants and so on and herbs that were good for our health. But we were still hunter-gatherers and farmers together, you know, and that's why we know that from our winemaking and so on. There's loads
The
of
wine these guys make.
stuff.
It's dangerous to visit them for a cup of tea.
Yeah.
And a little bit of champagne
Yeah.
as well.
And champagne and prosecco if we want. We can't
Champagne in the
fish.
west of Ireland.
We can't call it.
Champagne.
It's not.
No,
prosecco.
it's not champagne.
Yeah.
That's illegal because of the EU again. But yeah.
But these were all grown, you know, around the old houses and so on, and like we were nearly convinced that we weren't that Irish people didn't have a culture of homemade wine and so on. We were told spirits and beer is all we consumed, but that's not true. Not true at all.
Just pochines.
Well,
Bit of poaching.
Good.
But this,
Something that we've looked at over the last couple of years is what we can make from the farm without doing anything, without altering the environment in any way. And that was one of the challenges when it came to the Prosecco and the wine and the bread and the jams and all of that came out of what is there. Without having to change anything, like the Glen we're standing in now.
The knowledge was taken away, Mark. That was there and told, don't be doing that. One of the great things that even for a simple thing like jam, it was kind of derogatory terms were put in. Like it was called briar jam. So briar was something that would, rather than naming it and
The
so
other
on.
example of that is coffee from your dandelion, which we know was
really good for you.
Yeah.
And the dandelion root, and that's called the poor man's coffee.
Yeah.
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 And why is that? So that you feel that it's something that you shouldn't have.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's propaganda
Propaganda.
That's good.
at the grassroots level to destroy a culture. They've been at it a very long time.
And I suppose one of the weak parts that farmers have is they're by their nature that because you're close to nature and working with it and all that and in their nature, they're not revolutionaries, so we don't go often and say stop this now, and have a big,
Like the Dutch farmers have done recently.
Yeah.
But that's because
Yeah.
the Dutch farmers come from generations of people that dug out the ocean, you know, and walled it off. And these are tough people.
Yeah.
But what they've been doing there is literally going in and stealing the land. That's why it's got to the point. But that hasn't quite happened here, has it?
Not yet, no.
It's coming.
It's coming.
Potentially.
It's coming.
But we also see that in terms of rezoning. It would be a worry of ours as well, that we spoke about farmland on the outskirts of town where that's been rezoned. So farmers are then having sort of a penalty almost imposed on them for having farmland close to a town or city or village.
So you pay a massive tax for owning your own land,
That's crackers.
isn't it?
So look, we have this well.
Yeah, let's give
Let's
it a
talk about this because this
Yeah.
this is actually a spa from when was this built?
Well, the top part of it is, I suppose, you're talking about maybe 70, 80, 100 years where the top was put on, right? So before that, there was just the walls. So they decided to keep maybe some of the leaves, which are of absolutely no harm, out. It's brick lined. It goes down. It comes from a natural fissure that occurs. The reason that it's here next to the river is because that's the lowest base where it trickles out through the rock core and bubbles up under its own pressure. Inside in the well, it just comes straight up like that, and you can see the bubbles coming up at a periodic time, Mark.
So have you ever been in there?
Yeah.
What you have as well?
Sulphur and the sulphur floats on the top. So
Yeah,
you
it's
can put
actually
your hand
visible.
up under and you can lift out a layer
Yeah.
of sulphur
Yeah.
that's floating on top.
Yeah.
And what's so good about sulphur?
Well, it's nature's natural beauty mineral. That's what it's known as. If you look up nature's natural beauty mineral, guess what will come up? Sulphur. And why is it so good for you? Every cell in your body needs to have sulphur. And you can't, it's one of those magical potions, if you want to call it that. You can't overdose on it.
Yeah.
The body's able to regulate it, but if it hasn't it, right, what happens is the cells kind of collapse. So you don't have healthy cells and they pull away from others. So their elasticity is gone. But not only does it do that, it's healative, right? So it actually can repair, which is a great thing.
And this was used like as a hospital, and locals used to come here.
Our old house was a hospital, right? And they would have called it like for more the German term, which is always shows to me that there's such a connection between people all over the world.
Yeah.
And they would have used sick house to describe a hospital, but it was also a place of. There was an extensive garden of vegetables and so on, but unfortunately that had to be removed to widen the road. And we couldn't do anything about it. So because we were actually people that were living in it, it didn't come under protection. So if it was there abandoned and so on, we might have. But this was a living entity that had continued for years. And sometimes you can smell the wee sulphur.
Oh, yeah.
I can smell it this morning.
Yeah.
for sure.
And I just farted.
Yeah. Well, you see, that's how they say, like, vegetables are good for you, but it's the sulphur content in the vegetables.
I don't
that
think
are
vegetables are good for you at all,
Do-
but that's
do
another
not.
that's another story.
Well, in the meat as well.
Yeah.
It's also again, vegetables that are sprayed with a lot of pesticides and chemicals may not be.
Yeah, but
that
this
good
but
for
this
you.
stuff's good.
This stuff is good.
And that's why too comparing vegetables from 20 years ago or 40
Yeah,
years ago
totally
isn't
different.
the
Yeah.
same as comparing
Yeah.
the same vegetable now.
That
because-
stuff in the supermarket
Yeah.
is crap.
Yeah, and what is in the soil that's been grown, and you know,
Yeah.
so you can't compare the two.
So this is really a story of sustainability.
Absolutely.
It's a story of using something that's at your disposal.
Yeah.
Now this,
The story of protection as
Protection.
well, because what we
Yeah.
want to do is protect this beautiful area, which
it is stunning.
which could easily disappear.
Yeah, imagine if my grandfather bought into the whole EU story, or EEC as it was at the
Yeah, yeah.
time, and said, "Oh, you can have another cow or two here if you rip all this out."
Mm-hmm.
Well, they would have been told they were the best farmers in County Leitrim if they did that. But something within them said, no, it's not worth it. Look at how lovely this is today,
it's
the
amazing.
sunshine and, you know, everything that's here and all the plant life. That's very, very specialised,
It's gorgeous.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should install a bench here.
Every day I come down here, I feel well. You know, there's no coincidence that the word well and well
Oh yeah.
mean the
Yeah,
same
I
thing.
never thought of that.
Huh?
I never thought of that.
Isn't that mad?
yeah, that
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Are you well?
Are you well?
Are you well?
Have you been to the well? Are you well?
Yeah, I never thought of that. That's
yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just something, you know. But Mark, to be honest with you, we understand, and we did a long time ago when we thought about developing the cosmetic range, that not everybody can come from all over the world and experience this, and maybe it wouldn't be the right thing. So we said we would take the water, this water, and really turn it into a top quality cosmetic, so that you can apply it to the skin and so on, and that the regeneration process actually works.
Well, we'll go and have a look at those
Yeah.
products now.
Yeah.
This well's been known about for a long time, Michael, and there was I remember seeing a newspaper article from what, the 1950s, was it?
Yes, yeah.
Saying that was it your father or your grandfather was sat on a fortune because of this sulphur water.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And I suppose at the time they didn't see that it was that it could be expanded out in that way. We hadn't the benefit of all the technologies we have now to reach all over the world. But even at the minute, Mark, we're available in 27 countries worldwide. And, you know, to bring it from a concept and knowing what's here to a worldwide audience is really, you know, what we want to do. And we want to do it in a sustainable way. As you can see, we haven't damaged anything by doing that. You know, so many things that are rolled out to the world, they cause a lot of damage. This is one product that doesn't, and certainly is beneficial for anyone that uses it, and for your skin and for your health. And you know, some people that have used it actually have said they feel a lot better. So I don't know if it kind of has an underlying benefit as well, not just in the looks. But I suppose if you look well, you feel well.
Well,
Well,
Well.
there's one other thing. We have the remains of the old sweat house in the plunge pool.
oh, where is it?
It's in here. Do you want to go in?
Yeah.
Okay, come on.
We'll have a look at this first sweat house,
It's a pity because
that's what you need to rebuild.
yeah, that's the genuine.
I go down every day.
Yeah, but you see, there was a bridge there, but we need money to put it across.
Yeah.
Do you know?
You just get a rope bridge.
Yeah.
For now.
Anything. Right. So in here,
So this was the old sweat lodge.
this was the sweat lodge, right? It was covered. It'd be covered with willow and so on, right? So what you do is you go. It was lit then. A fire would be lighted in there. Did you say lit or lighted? I don't know.
Lit.
Lit. Right. A fire would be lit in here. Okay. And just imagine this like covered like in a sort of an igloo shape.
But it was willow.
Willow, right? And then it would be lined with your.
Did you ever
moss.
see it?
Not in my time, no. But there.
We need to get someone to rebuild it.
But we will. But we leave this one as it is.
Yeah.
You know, just because it is intact. Now, my grandfather and that would have used it, but I mean, it takes again, you know, it has to. I suppose it went out of fashion, and I should have perhaps.
Well, it's
done
quick because I built one of these in my garden in Morocco. It's called a hammam.
a hammam.
It's the same idea.
Right.
It was built out of willow
Yeah.
and mud, and
Yeah.
there was a fire, and it got really hot. And you're just sitting there.
But that's exactly
It's the same thing.
If that's what we did.
Because it's so good for you.
Yeah, and then what you did when it was this is like what they call it, like a sweat lodge or whatever term you wanted to call it, and the fire was in the bottom, got up to like an oven temperature. So you went in, you put a few bushes or whatever over the front of it, and you stayed in there until you really sweated.
Yeah.
So then what you did is you ran out, when you could say, and you went straight to your plunge pool.
Oh, is that the plunge pool?
That's a plunge
Oh,
pool.
yes.
Okay.
That's gorgeous.
Now, and the bottom of that is rock as well. So you're on rock.
You're grounded.
You're grounded again, and you stayed in there, and you repeated the process if you wanted to.
And
a
what
couple of
have
times.
they replaced this with? The local leisure centre
Centre.
has a sauna and a
Yeah.
thing, and the water in the
Yeah.
pools is full of chlorine.
Yeah.
The water in the steam room is full of
Yes.
all the crap that's in Irish
Yes.
water, which is the
Yes.
fluoride and the
Yeah.
chlorine and all this other
Yeah.
nonsense. So
Yeah.
people think they're getting healthy, but they're not.
They're not. And the funny thing about it, you see, it has a natural bacterial property, sulphur as well.
yeah.
So, you know, anything that was all the time purified. Now, we've just left it as it is.
Shall
We
I
haven't.
shall I take my clothes off and jump in?
You can, yeah. But not while I'm looking.
Your hat on.
I look this way.
You might need it.
He
Keep
didn't
your
bat-
hat
he
on.
didn't bat an eyelid. We thought about it for a split second and went, yeah, go on then. That's gorgeous.
But isn't it?
All the minerals from the soils.
Yeah, and the earth and all that.
and the
So you're kind of absorbing all this beauty and natural goodness into your body anyway. You know,
You're making me feel wistful.
wistful. Is that it?
Wistful.
Yeah.
Wistful
But
in the west of Ireland.
The funny thing about all this is it worked.
Yeah, of course
So
it
I
did.
suppose what really put the death knell of this way of thinking, two things, maybe three. First of all, don't be at that. You're a savage.
Yeah.
Now, Irish people were kind of, that sort of bad press came out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that, they're in the woods, naked, heating up fires and jumping in good, healthy
Sounds great.
water. You know, but that wasn't, I suppose, there was a sort of a puritanical thing.
Well, what did-
Don't be at that.
What did Churchill say?
What did he say?
He said that we find the Irish very difficult. They don't want to be English.
Oh dear, yeah. So that didn't suit, and again that connection with rural and country and all that was trying to move us into a cityscape maybe where people were more concentrated to be good work. Yeah.
But it is going back to the poverty thing to make you feel that you don't want to
Yes.
use that because it's what poor people do or poor country folk
Yes.
do or something like
Yeah.
that. Going back to the poor man's coffee
Yeah.
and the briar jam, it was the
Yeah.
same
Yeah.
thing. So that meant that another tradition was eroded.
Yeah. I mean, I'm only 53, but you know, I remember my great-grandparents and my grandparents back in England, and they were connected to the land, and they still made all their own stuff and did all
course.
their own stuff, and they were
Yeah.
fit and strong and healthy.
Of course.
And now we live in an age where 4-year-olds are dropping dead of myocarditis,
Which is.
which is completely outrageous. So I think this is amazing.
Yeah. So this is it, Mark. And then another thing, I suppose, where you had chemist shops and things in tubes that were made in the city by the people who went in to work there and went away from where it was healthy because they had to, because maybe they were told, you know, if you don't do that, you'll be poor forever, and you don't need to be doing that, but you need to be coming and making the tubes of ointment and
Yep.
so on. And then that kind of sort of decreased because whether it worked or not, it was very easy to go maybe to a chemist and get something in a bottle rather than taking in the natural herbs, the natural environment and so on. It's going to really lift your whole well-being.
Well-being. Right. Well, let's go and look at
All right.
look at the products. So here we are in the farmhouse with Michael and Yvonne, and we have 3 of the products that you've made from the sulphur water in the well,
Yep.
which you're calling Spa Cottage. Do you want to talk us through what you've made? and what's so good about them.
Yvonne, do you want to?
Oh, before we do that, let's just have a smell of this.
Yeah.
This is this is the sulphur water,
Yeah.
which is apparently really good for you.
Oh, very good for you, Mark.
Cheers.
Cheers.
The only
You
problem
definitely
is,
smell it.
you have to drink it while it's hot on your nose.
Definitely. There's definitely an egg flavour to it, isn't there?
Good though.
Good though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's really
I mean it. But
Don't stand too close to it.
okay, far away. What have you got?
Okay, we have 3 different types of creams that we have made from the sulphur water. We have a night cream, which is this one here. We have a day cream, and then we also have a serum. Now, the reason that we started with these products is because a lot of people would say to us, do you know, that I suppose in terms of the sulphur water, do you know, the regeneration of the cells on the face, and that makes for a sort of radiant skin. So at night, this particular cream here, we haven't added any perfumes. So although there's not a particularly strong sulphur smell from this, it's not perfume. So when you go to sleep at night, you know, you don't have lots of smells, or that would keep you awake or disturb your sleep or anything like that. So you can see the colour of it as well. There's a slight tinge to it as well. It's not.
Can you see that?
To the cream. Do you want to
Yeah,
have a feel of that just to see what you think? And actually, this cream in
Ooh.
particular, though it's a
really-
light cream, this is a luxurious cream, and
Well, you can't polish a turd though, can you?
but it's a great cream for the hand skin as well.
it's really-
Particularly we find, if you're outside working and your hands are sore, it's a really nice one, even just to add.
Well, you've actually sold this to a load of farmers, haven't you?
We've sold it to a lot
Yeah.
of farmers, and that's exactly what they use it for. If they've been out all day,
It's good, isn't it?
It's really good.
Yeah.
and you know what the weather's like here in
Yeah.
Ireland, you could maybe have sunshine,
Yeah.
but you could have rain 10 minutes later, or
Yep.
you could have a little bit of snow.
The interesting thing is we launched at the Ploughing Championship, which again is an international.
You must be the only people in the
Yeah.
world to
Yeah.
launch a beauty product at a
Ploughing Championship. And because it was organic and so on, and we were asked, would we like to do that? And as well as that, not only were we there and all the farmers, there was something like 400,000 farmers came to that and their families and so on. And we thought, when we went down, maybe we'd bring a small amount. So it was only like for a launch. So we sold out the first day. And we were amazed at that. And even the knowledge that a lot of the farmers had about the sulphur was amazed us. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. What the farmers were more keen to know was, how long will this last? How much sulphur water's in it? They already knew the benefits of the sulphur water, so it wasn't a question that they needed to ask us. And one of the things that we kind of were bearing in mind too with our packaging, our packaging's a neutral packaging.
Yeah.
Because sulphur water, whether it's a male skin or female skin, it's going to do the same thing. And that's why we see our product.
It's a perfect balance for your skin type. It's not, you don't have to say, oh, is it suitable
Because
for my
the body absorbs what it needs from it.
That's what we talked
I
about.
understand that,
And yeah,
And you can see from that as well that it absorbs into the skin. That it doesn't sit
There's
on your
nothing.
skin. And that was one of the things that we.
I mean, my
we-
skin feels like silk.
Yeah, it's really luxurious on the skin. And that was one of the things that it would absorb into the skin, because we found that when we were researching and trialing products, that a lot of the creams sit on your skin. So they're not actually absorbed into the skin, and you're not getting the benefits of it.
this is different. This is the only one of its type in the world, Mark.
Well, you've certainly put a lot of thought into it. I
Yeah.
like the look of this one.
This one is the serum, and that so you just
pull
the
it.
lid.
Oh, sorry.
So, yeah, so if
Okay.
you just pull straight up.
Whoop, there
yeah.
we go.
So this is a lighter cream, and we find that this one in particular is really good for if you want something that's lighter. So it's not like going to bed where you'd have a thicker cream on. If you just want
This is a
something
quick fix.
I'm going to be 10 years younger by the time I leave here.
Yeah.
And it's also a nice one for anyone who would be applying makeup afterwards. So if you want to do
That's not me.
moisturisation of the skin and want to apply a little bit of foundation or something to the skin afterwards, that one works particularly well.
I mean, it's totally neutral smelling,
Yes.
and it feels
Yes.
amazing.
Because we wanted the products to be about the sulphur water, not about another about another element. It was always going to be about the sulphur water. So the day and night cream have around 80% sulphur water, and the serum has about 85% sulphur water. And that again, the absorption into the skin was essential for us, and to have the maximum amount of sulphur water in the products if it's possible.
Mark, the whole thought behind this is my grandfather and my father to some extent, like they were the original dermatologists of the area. They would have never used that term, and they treated people here on the farm. So, you know, that was only, I suppose, to a locality and a local area. And we thought, how do we do that on a bigger area and so on? And, you know, it's really about giving back people, you know. They're like what we visited here today, Mark, with you down at the Glen and so on. So this is what you're getting back as well, you know, in the product.
Yeah, and you put on here, it's this organic, pure sulphur water encourages natural collagen production.
Yeah.
Collagen's big.
Yes.
So I take it every day.
Yeah.
I have it in my coffee.
Yeah.
Do
Well,
you?
yeah.
And
This
so
is
you're
great.
making your own collagen. You're not.
This
relying
is
on
Look over there.
something.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's really,
Stimulates
it's your own
skin. I
skin.
think that's the
You know, you're feeding it, and then, you know, naturally it's going to do its own thing, and it's going to be perfect for your skin.
And that's why the sulphur water was so good for people with skin conditions, you know, like psoriasis
Yeah.
and eczema and conditions like that, because it actually made your own skin produce its own.
You know,
started
and
to work
people
for itself,
sometimes
and repair the cell.
think that collagen is all just about, you know, keeping you young. It's healthy. It's bringing the whole health back to your skin as well. You know,
Yeah.
regeneration.
Well, I've been smoking 30 years, so I'll take 3.
Yeah.
That'll last me about a week.
Yeah.
Oh, and you got a day cream.
Lunchtime and evening as
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you've got a day cream here as well. How's that different to the night cream?
This one is different to the night cream. It's not as heavy. So you'll see there's it smells slightly different, and it's lighter on the skin as well. So if you feel that.
Oh yeah, you can see that straight away.
Yeah, and
So this will work for the whole day.
Yeah.
That's why it's called, obviously, day
cream.
and again you'll see although
Yeah.
it's lighter, it also goes into the skin really, really well.
This is amazing. I mean, you've created all this from scratch.
Yeah,
From the liquid gold that's beneath your feet.
Absolutely,
Which is
yeah.
just a wonderful.
So, Mark, too, like what you're saying, you know, I suppose there's no encouragement to do that. You know what I mean? And that's the sad part. It's there, but, you know, you can have all the organisations, but they're not going to encourage you to do something that's there, unique to your own farm and your own place, and that's like going to benefit
Well, it's
everybody.
you're farming just in a different way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In a different way, and
Yeah.
actually the amount of water that we use in the product has no effect on the farm. Do you know?
None,
So it's
none.
not like
It's
we're
going
taking
to-
resources that
we're,
are going
you
to
know.
damage the farm in any
Yeah.
way.
And I assume it's an endless supply.
Endless supply. If there's we have done like I do some water divine, and we didn't look at that.
So do I.
did we? Yeah,
I do it now.
And and now I have taken a little bit of advice. Now I'm not able to
I
do.
should have bought my rods down.
Why didn't you?
I didn't think.
Why didn't you? We could have had a go. It's great crack too.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
And you can kind of, you know by the movement whether the supply is plentiful or not. So, so with other people that like yourself that have expertise in this, I wouldn't say I'm an expert
neither would I.
but they can actually say by the way the rods are moving. I use copper now. Different people have different go-to things. Some do use the hazel and that, but you know you can actually know the quantities that are there by the movement of the rod.
Yeah.
So we have an
An abundance.
abundance.
Well, this is great. Should we go and...
Even the cattle look nice and shiny, don't they, Michael?
They do, yeah.
Drink it in
cats.
course.
The cattle.
Oh, the cattle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
can
yeah.
see that. You can see the shine in there.
Well, they're eating the grass that's got the sulphur water underneath
Taking it up.
so-
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I should get my steaks from you in future.
There you go.
Right, should we go outside and have some fun?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go.
Right?
Let's go.
Okay, let's go.
Allons-y.
Now, Mark, this is our Scandinavian connection. Do you want to go first?
No, I'll watch you first.
Okay, well, I get the cushion.
So, would you like a push?
Okay, just to show this. Okay, you ready? Okay. Okay, go.
Not bad.
And that's the way you're not supposed to do it, Mark. Wow, good. A little push, Mark, but not much.
Right. What do you say? Big push.
No, a little push. Ah! Woo! Come on, Mark, your turn now. Now, be careful, right? Right, I'll just give you a wee bit.
Okay.
Oh, it's great. Yeah. What do you think of that?
That was fun.
Good, great. Come on, we'll have a cuppa.
Yeah.